Judy, family, friends gathered in a virtual way, we come together to celebrate the life of Michael Jones, to celebrate his life given to us. We come together in our loss, in this grieving process, but also in this time of celebration for a life well lived, a meaningful and purposeful life given to us and now given over to the great mystery of death. We are blessed that we are not alone in life, in death. We are surrounded by an ethos of love that holds and nurtures each one of us, that comes to us in the world around, that comes to us through our interactions with each other as we hold and care for each other and care for the planet around. So we are blessed in this time. We come into this sacred gathering to hear words, to hear music, to be reminiscent of Michael's life and what it has meant for us. Let us gather in a moment of reflection. We breathe deeply coming into this sacred space. We breathe deeply in memory of Michael. We breathe as we surround Judy and family and all of us in our memories and in our reflections. We give thanks for the gift of the uncertainty of death as an adventure beyond life. In all this, we come together today, opening our hearts to our memories, to our grief, but also our laughter and celebration of this life so well lived. Let us come together in this sacred time. Amen. I invite John to gather us.
Bojon in the way Maganaduk, Zagaske and Dishnakas, Makon Nerudem, was Saxing Bonjaba, Ojube and Schnabe and Dao, you get me Gwetski Bajak Nongum. So my name is Zagaske, which means sun ray, and I'm a Bear Clan. I'm from, I grew up on the reserve near Prairie Sound. We call that land Wasaksing. So I'm an Ojube and Schnabe. In Schnabe, we understand that the human spirit is immortal. We are part of our Manadok, is part of the Gitche Manado, part of the Great Spirit. So as a result, we share four qualities as spirit beings. First of all, we have spiritual immortality. Secondly, we're perfect, just like the Gitche Manado. Every spirit is perfect. And we say what our spirit looks for in this lifetime is Minobamadzuin, so our spirit is good. And what emanates from our spirit, we say, is kindness. Those are the four elements of the spirit being. We say, my brother now, Majakwit, Michael, or as a clear sky, as I came to know him in this life as, he's now on his spirit existence. So he is immortal, perfect, good, and kind. And we'll only speak of him in those terms from now on as we remember him. We speak of our ancestors and those ones who've gone to the spirit world that way. Because we understand that the spirit is immortal, in the Schnabe we don't say goodbye. We say, Gawab min minwa, I'll see you again. That's what we say. So everybody you meet in your walk, when they part from you, you say that, Gawab magin, Gawab mago minwa. We'll see you again, maybe in this life, maybe in the next life, maybe in the spirit world. It's an ongoing acquaintance that we know each other as spirit beings. So my brother, Majakwit, I met him an ancient lifetime ago, where we walked together as brothers. So before he left, I got to spend time with him, sharing him the stories of a brother would share to another brother as he prepared to go to the spirit world. And he is my brother. And in a ceremony, I adopted him as my brother Majakwit, part of my family. So I'm here to remind us of who he is now, that good, kind being that he is. So what we do at this time is we gather all the goodness that he was in his lifetime. We gather that all up and we send that with him. In the spirit world, that's all he is. We'll just remember the goodness of him. So we do this song, and in the song we remind him that his walk in this world, whatever it was he faced in this lifetime, those hardships, maybe those difficult times, those stay here. But the beauty of who he is and who he was, that's who he still is now as he exists in the spirit world. So we gather up all of our good memories of him, and we put those around him, and we send those to him, and we remember him in that way. Those maybe thousands, maybe even millions of hearts that he touched in his life. We say he became that big-hearted person, that Ogichida, that big-hearted being who loved everything so big. It was in his heart. So we ask him to not worry about us, to be where he is and know that we're going to carry on. We won't forget him. We can take care of ourselves now by the gifts he's given to us, his music, his words, his being, his presence. That's how we'll carry on without him. But we also say to him, we'll remember you. We'll remember your words and your music in the wind. We'll remember that when the leaves rustle in the wind, we'll hear that in those. We'll hear your words and your music as the waves wash up along the shore. Everything that makes sound in this universe will remind us of your music and your words we say. And I told him as he lay there, when we were talking, I said, we're lucky in this day and age, your music is digitized. We only have to be able to hear a recording of your music now, and you're there with us instantly. So I'm going to send this song out, and this song talks about canoeing early in the morning. And on the flat water, there's a nice mist on the water, and as you look across the water, in Georgian Bay, you see the birch trees and the reflection of the birch trees on the water. That's what this song is about. And send this out, and in this vision, we gather all of our good thoughts and we send it to him. So I'd like to send this song as we gather our good thoughts and our good memories of him and send those to him to remind him of who he is to us now.
Hey,
Thank you, John. We are blessed to be able to gather in words of remembrance, to have a couple of people who are here with us in the Great Hall today, Connor Jones and Darren Dixon, who will speak first, and then we have gathered up some friends around North America who offered testaments to Michael's influence in their lives, their connection to him. So we will hear from Connor and Aaron, and then we will hear from Anthony Hyatt and Christopher Jones and Judy Sorum Brown and Bob Stilger and Bill Isaacs. So we appreciate this opportunity to bring together these words of reflection on Michael's life and its meaning to us. Connor?
Good afternoon. I am Connor Jones. I am Michael's nephew. I had the absolute pleasure of visiting Michael a number of times in the hospital, as well as hospice later on. I'm just going to share a small excerpt from one of the books he had requested that I read, Embers by Richard Wagamese. But before I get to that, there were many defining memories of visiting Michael in the hospital and later in hospice, and one of which I always thought it was so incredibly courageous and brave of the level of consciousness he had of where he was and what he was undertaking. And despite that, whenever I would drop in to visit him, he would always start with, "How are you doing?" and "Tell me about your day," and "How is Vera?" and excuse me, "How is your mom?" and "How is Judy? What's she up to today?" Always had a great amount of concern and curiosity about how I was, what I was up to, and Judy and my mom, etc. So I always thought that was incredibly powerful. And I think that was just a great testament to how thoughtful Michael was of others. I want to listen deeply enough that I hear everything and nothing at the same time, and am made more by the enduring quality of my silence. I want to question deeply enough that I am made more not by the answers so much as my desire to continue asking questions. I want to speak deeply enough that I am made more by the articulation of my truth shifting into the day's shape. In this way, listening, pondering, and sharing become my connection to the oneness of life, and there is no longer any part of me in exile. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity, Judy. It sure is a privilege to be here and to share just a few words and a few breaths as Reverend Ted brought us in together to lift up the spirit of the light that Michael has awakened within myself and with everyone that he touched. We can see behind me on my left shoulder a beautiful emblem of Akikwe, of Mother Earth, and the light that surrounds her, the light that she is and that we are. And I had a wonderful moment when I was traveling in between, where I was stuck in between myself, and I knew that I really felt called to visit Michael in hospice. And as I searched on the Air Canada music app, I suddenly found Michael's music, Echoes of Childhood. And as I scrolled through, I had the opportunity to be in meditation in the light realms of Mother Earth in her stratospheres, listening to the songs of Dream of the World. So, Michael, I lift my heart to you. I lift my life to you. I lift all of my reverence to you in the gift of light, in the gift of return when we talk about our spirit of change. I just represent one small reflection of those that he has moved deeper into their purpose and calling in the spirit that's being asked to be brought forward right now in Mother Earth. And one thing that I was present to within Michael and with having the opportunity to speak is, what would he love to hear? What would he love to hear as he travels? And I remember him sharing when we were in England, going to a bioregionalism by design course, and he shared with me stories of his mother carrying him across in her vessel, across the Atlantic, across Atlantis, across the songs as he came into life. And then as I was sitting with him in the hospice, he would speak of Judy. He would speak of Judy's love that gave him the capacity to sing his life's purpose into being and to awaken us all in that collective web of creation that we are. And so I'm grateful for everyone. I know Michael is dancing in all of his colors. And I just want to say thank you, Judy, for giving me the opportunity to speak today, just to reflect back a glimmer of light, a glimmer of hope, and to honor the spirit of where we are here in this territory. Just to close, Michael, even in December, was listening and leaning into what was needed here in this land to awaken the spirit of place. We all remember Michael's words of, be the spirit of place. We are the spirit of place, and to do that, we have work ahead. And he had created a dialogue journey called Gagege Nigamawin, meaning everlasting songs. And how do we awaken at this time our everlasting songs and the everlasting songs of creation that are of this place? And by doing so, honoring the ancestors and the spirits of the places that we're in. So I just want to say thank you, Michael, for giving me the privilege of working with you, of giving me the courage to go deeper into what's needed now, and to know as you dance that we will continue to do that good work together. I feel so blessed, and so I just want to sing 2 rounds of a wildflower song that he liked, in the honor and full beauty and celebration of your life and the love that carried you in and through creation. I know this wildflower song I was shared to be my Nancy Allaire, and comes from the women of Wabano in Ottawa. Away hi-yo, 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 Yahweh, Yahweh, hi-yo, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi-yo, away 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 hi-yo. And just to add a little bit of a smile, because I can imagine Michael laughing, that song was actually a traveling song for our ancestors. And it's about how we travel high and well with our ancestors, and smiling because he would be listening into the music that was traveling through us. So thank you again for that lesson. And just my love is with you, Judy, and so grateful for all that we continue to share together. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anthony Hyatt, and I'm joining you from the U.S. state of Maryland. I'm honored to share some words and music in this celebration of Michael Jones. Thank you, Judy, for the invitation. One of the greatest gifts that I have received in this life was the opportunity to twice co-teach week-long Leading Artfully immersion programs with Michael at the 2007 and 2008 Creative Problem Solving Institute conferences, which in those years were convened in the American state of Georgia. Michael already was a well-known author, speaker, and musician. He could easily have taught the sessions based upon his Artful Leadership book by himself, with me serving, as originally intended, as his liaison to the conference community. Instead, he invited me, and in the second year, visual artist Terry O'Neill, to collaborate with him on reimagining the material and its presentation. This humble generosity typified his inclusive approach to envisioning a new leadership story, one that awakens the commons of the imagination. We became friends and shared a fabulous learning experience that continues to inspire me today. Personally, I will always remember and treasure starting each day by improvising musically with Michael. It was beautiful beyond words. Those memories, paired with Michael's often shared invitation to play your own music, lead to this short piece that I have composed. It is entitled Music for Michael, and its melody came to me in the middle of the night just after Michael transitioned. Writing it down and sharing it with you represents new growth for me. Usually, I mostly play covers, including Moon River, but now a certain beloved teacher continues to inspire this student. I thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Christopher, and I'm Michael's younger brother. I have a reading today and a brief story I'd like to share, and also reflections I'd like to share with you. The reading is from Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a Vietnamese Buddhist monk and a peace activist and an author. He was a poet and a teacher, and he recently passed away at age 95. Some of you may have been aware this was just at the end of January. And in this missive, he's speaking in response to students who were planning a shrine in his memory on his death. The reading is titled, I Am Not in Here. I'm reading it in the first person, directly as it was written. I have a disciple in Vietnam who wants to build a stupa for my ashes when I die. He and others want to put a plaque with the words, Here lies my beloved teacher. I told them not to waste the temple land. Do not put me in a small pot and put me in there, I said. I do not want to continue like that. It would be better to scatter the ashes outside to help the trees grow. I suggested that if they still insist on building a stupa, then they have the plaque say, I am not in here. But in case people don't get that, they could add a second plaque, I am not out there either. And if still people don't understand, then you can write on the third and the last plaque, I may be found in your way of breathing and your way of walking. This body of mine will disintegrate, but my actions will continue me. We don't need to wait until the final dissolution of this body to continue. We continue in every moment. If you think that I'm only in this body, then you've truly not seen me. When you look at my friends, you see my continuation. When you see someone walking with compassion, you know that he or she is my continuation. Even when the cloud is not there, it continues to snow or rain. It's impossible for a cloud to die. It can become rain or ice, but it cannot become nothing. The cloud does not need to have a soul in order to continue. There is no beginning and no end. I will never die. There will be a dissolution of this body, but that does not mean my death. I will continue, always. My story is a reflection of a first memory. Michael was 13 years older than I am. Our family had moved from Queenston to Don Mills, Toronto area when Michael was in his mid-teens. At that point, I was just 3 or 4 years old, and of course memories are fleeting and vague. However, I have a clear and shining memory of walking behind Michael on the first street we lived in Don Mills, Langbourne Avenue, where we lived in a duplex. It was an absolutely shimmering spring day, and the leaves were fluorescent green, and the birds were celebrating warmth, and the smells were all of spring, and the light was just like penetrating through. It was just a beautiful spring day, and Michael was in jeans and a white shirt, his shirt sleeves rolled up. It was 1959, and you have to remember that this was the era of Frankie Avalon and Bobby Darin, and James Dean had recently passed away. And in my memory, Michael was like a movie star to me. He had his thumbs hooked in back pockets, and he was walking at ease in the world and completely comfortable in his skin, thoughtful and confident and just the coolest guy. And I remember at age 4 looking up at him and hooking my thumbs in my back pockets and starting to saunter along behind him, just like Michael. I'm 66 years old now, but I am still that 4-year-old following in Michael's older brother footsteps. Reflections. Michael continues, always, in the place and the space and the spirit around us and in all of us. Michael has been my movie star, my North Star for a lifetime. The values and principles and mentorship that Michael has provided in guidance and by example are not your typical movie star qualities. They're very special. Michael has been a model to me of those special qualities that he had, of sensitivity, of loyalty, of love, of integrity, of musicality, of the power, his celebration of the power of imagination, of thoughtful reflection and teaching and dialogue, of vibrancy and humility, of his deep appreciation for place and community and the spirit that is embodied in place, and he had a preternatural ability to listen and to absorb and to reflect and to guide and facilitate learning and discovery, which he was absolutely delighted to do. And those are those North Star qualities that Michael provided to me by example. We were so far apart in age, Michael and I, almost a generation apart really, that his passage through life has always been many steps ahead of mine. Yet that which we have in common and those qualities that Michael has led and modeled have been a touchstone and a rock-solid foundation throughout my life. I want to especially recognize Michael's love for Judy and their extraordinary life of passion and action together. Their love and dedication to each other has also provided the example and inspiration of how essential and powerful love and partnership are in my life. I also want to share that our family is in mourning. Earlier in 2021, we lost Michael's younger brother George, and now, with Michael's death, all of us have lost so much and continue to grieve over these many months. Michael continues, I grieve for the loss of my brother, who I can't hold or hug or engage anymore with in thrilling dialogue, or walk with, as we used to walk at Lake Couchiching. Yet Michael continues to be my North Star, the coolest guy, who calls me to be present in this and every place I am, with integrity, listening. Michael is beyond time now, beyond a beginning and an ending, and yet he continues in us. Michael walked bravely and with integrity through his life and through his final days, and I walk after him in his footsteps, listening carefully to be sure I can hear him, knowing that his passage through time and beyond time leads mine, and that I will meet him, and we will walk again together. Thank you.
Many of us have had the sheer pleasure of working with Michael over the years. And one of my joys as a poet has been to read poetry along with Michael's music. And 2 days after he passed, this poem popped up in my journal, and I call it Michael's poem. My hand on the concert grand, that's what I remember, standing in the curve of it, offering a poem or reflection in the moment. Michael playing into that space, creating, both of us composing, inviting, wholly present, and at day's end, walking partners, meandering and musing. Those were the days of miracles and mystery. How grateful all of us are for him, for his presence in our lives and the wonderful memories. Thank you, Michael.
I can't think of a better place, Michael, than to wish you well on your spirit's journey here from Napili Point on the island of Maui. I've been sitting out here this morning thinking about you, thinking about the soul of the place, thinking about the journey that you've been on. You know, it's such a pleasure during the last year to connect with Michael. We had several wonderful conversations. Listening to Michael describe how he was entering into a relationship with Parkinson's and how he was turning to the tribal elders in Ontario to listen and to enter more into that relationship. It was wonderful to hear. And it wasn't surprising. This was Michael. This was Michael on his journey of inquiry, on his journey of life, on his journey of encountering life at its fullest. So many stories. All of us here have so many stories about Michael. The times that he and I would be leading a workshop together and the people would get under the grand piano that he was playing for the first time, and the looks of awe on their face when they heard that sound. when they heard him caressing those keys. But I have to say, my favorite story was one of the first times that Michael and I were working together. We were in the Providence Hospital in Kingston, Ontario, and we were hosting the whole hospital system into a day-long convening to talk about how to be a better hospital, how to make the best use of the resources that they had. And, we had a perfect design, of course, for the day. And there was the point after lunch where people were coming back in. And, it was at that time when I nodded to Michael for him to stop so that we could continue. And he just smiled. And a couple minutes later, I nodded again, and he just smiled. And then, eventually, the music ended. And I asked him about it later, because we had such a perfect plan. And he looked at me with that kind look in his face, and he said, "Bob, the music doesn't stop until it's ended."
My name is Bill Isaacs, and I want to celebrate the life of my friend Michael Jones. Large spirits require large spaces. My dear friend Michael was fond of saying, "Find a purpose that is larger than your lifetime." He did. I met Michael in 1992 at Bretton Woods in New Hampshire. He was playing his music at a conference there. I said, "You should bring your music into our leadership workshops. We could teach people to listen, to improvise. You play improvisational music. We teach people how to do improvisational conversation." They fit. So we did. For the better part of 3 decades, I had the remarkable privilege of working with Michael. He told stories, he read poetry, and he played to hundreds and thousands of people in intimate settings. Many where people ended up lying under the piano, prime real estate to hear and be touched by Michael's music. Michael brought heaven to earth through his hands. He caught their hearts off guard and blew them open. Michael played the room, and the music played him. He encouraged people to play their own music that he had found the courage to do years before. Eventually, he didn't just play the music, he was the music. I'll never forget a very special evening at Stage Neck Inn in York Harbor, Maine, a remarkable place by the sea, where Michael played to an open room, and my son Sam, then age 4, danced, spontaneously flowing around the room. Sam danced to the music Michael had written for him some years before. Sam remembers. One afternoon, 5 years before that, before Sam had been born, Michael and I were together for a creative afternoon. We'd found a German Steinway at MIT, and we sat together talking. Michael played. We'd speak some more. And at one point in the afternoon, he started to play a piece of music that I had never heard him play before. And I said, "What's that?" He said, "I don't know." It was very different than anything we'd ever heard, and striking, strong. I asked him a few weeks later, whatever happened to that song? He said, "Strangest thing, it seems to be gone." Music can be like that, especially when you improvise. 5 months later, Sam was born on Friday afternoon, Friday evening. That Monday, I called around to friends. I spoke to Michael and I said, gave him the news. I said, "By the way, whatever happened to that song that we'd heard when you were playing? We were together at MIT." He said, strangest thing, I've been playing it all weekend long. Michael could listen to the invisible, to the wind behind the wind, to the song behind the song. He encouraged every one of us to listen to that and to play it as we each uniquely could. That is a remarkable gift and one of the finest in my life, and I know for many others. It's a legacy that lives on now, right with you, my friend.
Well, as we've been hearing in these wonderful tributes, Michael has such a creative force, such a wonderful ability as an improviser at the piano. And when I spoke to Judy shortly after Michael's passing, and Judy mentioned one or two pieces that might be played or at this celebration of life, and being an academic trained musician, I'm the organist here at St. Paul's, I said, well, Judy, do you have the music? And Judy said, oh, Michael never wrote down the music. But fortunately, I do have a book, because there was a book of Michael's music published in the early 1980s by Narada Music, under that publishing name. And I'm very honored to be joined by cellist Marta Solek, who is now living in Poland, but grew up and was trained in Poland, and is now living here in Orillia, and became a close friend of Michael since she came to Orillia approximately 4 years ago. One of the wonderful recordings that Michael made was with a cellist named David Darling. And we're going to play a piece from that album. And this is what Michael had to say about it. Cellist David Darling and I met for the first time in Boulder, Colorado, and recorded Amber in a private home. It was easy to be inspired by the spectacular views of Sunshine Canyon, where the home was located. The large south-facing windows overlooked the Boulder Valley and the Great Divide. David and I became acquainted through a musical conversation. At first, we played with great intensity, my grand cascades on the piano serving as a counterpoint to David's broad sweeps of the bow across the strings. Then something shifted. A gentle quality started to flow through our work. I began to explore a wistful piano theme while David plucked a soft pizzicato. For hours, we explored this theme's nuances and variations. This was the theme for the piece Sunshine Canyon. It had crept into our work unexpectedly, surprising us with its presence as creations often do. In fact, if the tape recorder had malfunctioned that day, Sunshine Canyon might have vanished as quickly as it had appeared.
Thank you so much, everyone, for those beautiful testaments of remembrance and celebration of a wonderful life, and for that musical tribute that lifts up Michael's beautiful music. When I was meeting with Michael before he passed away, he indicated that there was 2 poems that he wanted read at this celebration of life. The first is by William Stafford. There's a thread that you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread, but it's hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen, people get hurt or die, and you suffer and get old. Nothing you can do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. Certainly that thread that Michael has woven for each one of us, I think, will continue to weave in and out of our lives. And this poem, Postscript, by Seamus Heaney. And sometime make the time to drive out west into County Clare, along the flaggy shore, in September or October, when the wind and the light are working off each other, so that the ocean on one side is wild with foam and glitter, and inland among the stones the surface of a slate-gray lake is lit by the earth lightning of flocks of swans, their feathers ruffed and ruffling white on white, their fully grown, headstrong-looking heads tucked or cresting or busy underwater. Unless you think you'll park and capture it more thoroughly, you are neither here nor there, a hurry through which known and strange things pass. A big, soft buffeting comes at the car sideways and catch the heart off guard and blow it open. Catch the heart off guard and blow it open. Michael could do that to you. He could catch you off guard and open your heart to see the world in wondrous ways. Those of us who gathered with Michael often experienced having our hearts opened in that way. We had to learn to create the space in our dialogues and conversations for listening to Michael. He didn't interject. We knew better to open that space and allow his words to come from his heart to our hearts. Words were important to Michael. Phrases and beautiful quotes and poetry and art that he lifted up and shared with us and touched us in so many ways. And stories were at the essence of who he was and who he invited us to tell our stories into the narratives that he created for us. One of the stories that he told often was of the muse that invited him to play his own music. The story of the tipsy man coming out of the bar into the hallway where Michael was playing music in between sessions. And the man sat down with his glass of wine and said to Michael, what was that music you were just playing? And Michael said, well, there was different covers. And he said, no, that other music. And he said, well, that's my music. And so this angel for Michael said, you need to play your own music. If you don't, who will? And that invited Michael into the great gift of music that he offered so many of us. As a number of people mentioned, we were graced, some of us, to climb under the piano. We did so here on this stage or at Judy and Michael's home, and to be blessed with the resonance and the vibration of Michael's beautiful music, inviting us to a deeper level of consciousness and awareness. He invited us to go deeply into our thoughts and our emotions, inviting a bigger sense of self. He did that invitation with full ballrooms full of jaded executives who he would invite through his music and words as he shared with other workshop leaders, invited them into their stories and into a deeper meaning for their work lives and their purpose in life. More recently, he has joined with the indigenous elders of this community, and both Michael as an elder with these other leaders have offered us wisdom of how to come to this place in new ways and to find a reconciling journey together, to find ways that we might come to this place in new ways. Michael's book, A Soul of Place, is about coming home, and I have used that book many times in its references about coming home, and Michael has inspired us in this space to come home to it. He named for us it as a place of gathering, which is different than the Majikani fish weirs as a gathering place. This is a place of gathering where we have a learning commons, and we have a reconciliation gallery, and we have arts and music events here that invite this community in the spirit of the commons that Michael invited us into. And he shared a beautiful life with Judy as they have journeyed throughout life these 47 years in wondrous and beautiful ways, paddling together, being together at cottage and in their home, entertaining so many of us. And so we appreciate the gift of them together and the gift of Michael, who has invited us home to a deeper place. I often, in funeral services, use the words from John, who quotes Jesus as saying, Jesus invites us into the heavenly place, a mansion, a place that is inviting to us all. And as I gathered with Michael in the hospice, as he lay there unable to eat for all of those weeks, he reflected on how much he was looking forward to a heavenly feast of enjoying the sensuous realities of food and drink and life. And so we bless you, Michael, on that journey, and imagine that you are enjoying that feast as we continue to be blessed by your music and your words and your spirit with us. So go well, Michael. We have been blessed by our time with you. We're going to play Michael's deep song This is also something that he requested as a tribute, his words or his music, taking us into the mystery. Let us take a moment to be thankful. We are thankful for the beauty of music, for the beauty of the world around, for the blessing of life, for the moments of ecstasy that come in bird song and in piano keys and in symphonies and in rock music. We are blessed by a world that is hungry for justice and caring and love, a world that needs compassion and love to overcome its hurts and its challenges, the indifferences and brutalities of ignorance and uncertainty. So we are thankful for the opportunity of having been blessed by a gift of life like Michael's, who challenged injustice with visions of beauty and wonder and lovemaking. We give thanks for that gift. We offer prayers of compassion for Judy and for family and for all of us as friends as we grieve this loss. Yet we hold this loss as a sign that we might carry it forward in our own ways, being gifted with the opportunity to carry Michael's vision of caring and compassion and beauty into the world. So we give thanks for this gift of life, and we ask that it may be shared with each and every one of us. Amen. So, Michael, your life has come to an end. You have gifted us greatly with your presence and your generosity and your loving spirit. All of us have been blessed by your presence with us. And so now we say goodbye and offer your body up into the universe. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We commend your spirit and your body into the eternal relationship of goodness, of caring and love that is the universe around. May you be blessed on your journey. May the adventures of the great unknown welcome and hold you from now into eternity. So be it. So, friends, we have been blessed by this time together. We have been blessed by coming together and experiencing this love given. May we extend that love to each and every one of us. John, will you offer a traveling song?
We sang this song on traveling because now he travels in the spirit world, beholding all the wonders that that place has for him. We're encouraged to continue our life journeys, traveling our world here, that somewhere in the distant future we'll meet him. And maybe we will tell him about the truth and reconciliation that this seventh generation brought forward the eighth generation, a generation that knew eternal peace in the beautiful way that the world was designed to become. Maybe that will be the story we tell him when we see him again. So we're charged to continue on our journeys in our lives, to continue what he participated in looking for this world to become a better place, that our children would walk in eternal peace. So we send this song out. It says to you, wherever you wander, the eagle watches over you. Wherever you travel, someone takes care of you, looks over top of you, is what this song says. So travel well, so that maybe someday when we see my Niconis, my brother Majakwit, we can tell him this story about what he did here and how we carried forward and the prophecies that he spoke about, that he dreamed about, those would come into fruition in our generation. So with that, we carry forward from this time and say thank you all for being here and sharing this time with all of us. Miigwech.